She was childless but never expected to get invited to her billionaire CEO baby shower, even though his intention was to mock her. She arrived with twins. The invitation trembled in Olivia Barrett's hands as she read the handwritten note tucked inside. "I heard life hasn't blessed you with children yet. Perhaps attending our celebration will give you something to aspire to. M." 4 years earlier, Maxwell Rhodes had looked her in the eyes and said, "Someone like you doesn't deserve to be a mother." Now, standing before his mansion's ornate doors with 18-month-old twins beside her, Olivia felt her heart thundering against her ribs. Emma babbled happily in her stroller, while Ethan clutched his stuffed elephant, both children blissfully unaware of the storm about to break. As the doors swung open, revealing a sea of wealthy guests and a pregnant Charlotte Rhodes holding court, Maxwell's face transformed from smug satisfaction to absolute shock. The entire room froze as his champagne flute slipped from his fingers, shattering into a million glittering pieces, just like the lies he built his perfect life upon. What would you do if the person who crushed your dreams invited you to celebrate theirs? Would you hide in shame, or would you show them exactly what they threw away? If you believe in karma and second chances, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Lux Love Chronicles with Mr. Wentworth for more stories that will touch your heart and remind you that sometimes life's most powerful moments come after our greatest pain. 2 weeks earlier, the gold-embossed envelope had arrived at Olivia's modest Georgetown townhouse, standing out like a diamond among coal in her stack of utility bills and business correspondence. Her heart had stuttered when she recognized the distinctive Rhodes Industries logo on the back flap, the sharp angles of the R as cutting as the man who had designed it. "You've got to be kidding me," she murmured, slicing the envelope open with her finger. The cream-colored cardstock felt luxuriously heavy, the gold lettering catching the late afternoon sunlight streaming through her kitchen window. A celebration of new life. It announced in elegant calligraphy. "Join us as we welcome the newest addition to the Rhodes family. Maxwell and Charlotte Rhodes request the pleasure of your company." The invitation slipped from Olivia's fingers, landing on the counter with a soft thud that belied the emotional earthquake it had triggered. 4 years of carefully constructed distance and healing threatened to crumble in an instant. "Liv? You home?" Renee's voice called from the front door, followed by the familiar sound of her best friend kicking off her shoes in the entryway. "I brought that report you wanted, and enough Thai food to feed an army." Renee appeared in the kitchen doorway, takeout bags dangling from her wrists, but her smile faltered when she saw Olivia's face. "What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." "And not a ghost. Worse." Olivia pushed the invitation across the counter. "Maxwell Rhodes." Renee's eyebrows shot up as she scanned the invitation. "The baby shower? Why would he invite you to his wife's baby shower?" Her eyes narrowed. Unless he's doing exactly what it appears he's doing." Olivia retrieved the handwritten note that had accompanied the invitation. "Read this." Renee's expression darkened as she read Maxwell's words aloud. "That manipulative, narcissistic bastard." She crumpled the note in her fist. "He's inviting you to rub his fertility in your face after what he said to you? Please tell me you're not considering going." The truth was, Olivia hadn't decided yet. She'd spent 4 years rebuilding her life after Maxwell had systematically dismantled it. 4 years of starting over, professionally after he'd blacklisted her from every major financial firm in the city. 4 years of proving the doctors wrong about her supposed infertility, giving birth to and raising twins who were the spitting image of the father who didn't know they existed. "I don't know," Olivia admitted, moving to the refrigerator where Emma and Ethan's smiling faces beamed from a finger-painted frame. "Part of me wants to throw this in the trash where it belongs." "And the other part?" Renee asked, setting down the food and approaching her friend. Olivia touched the photograph gently. "The other part wonders if it's time." Maxwell Rhodes learned exactly what he threw away. 4 years earlier, Olivia Barrett had been the rising star of Rhodes Industries' financial compliance department. At 32, she climbed the corporate ladder with remarkable speed, earning a reputation for brilliant analysis and uncompromising ethics. She'd caught Maxwell Rhodes' attention during a contentious board meeting where she'd fearlessly challenged projections put forward by executives twice her age. "You're either very brave or very foolish, Miss Barrett," Maxwell had said afterward, cornering her in the elevator. "I prefer to think of it as being very correct, Mr. Rhodes," she'd responded, refusing to be intimidated by his imposing presence or his reputation as a ruthless corporate titan. His laugh had been unexpected, a rich sound that transformed his usually stern face. Correct doesn't always win in this building. It does in my department. That elevator ride had been the beginning. Coffee to discuss compliance protocols had evolved into late dinners reviewing financial strategies. Professional admiration had morphed into something deeper, more dangerous. Despite company policies against fraternization and the 15-year age gap between them, they'd begun a relationship shrouded in secrecy and professional risk. We should disclose this to HR, Olivia had suggested one night, nestled against Maxwell's chest in his penthouse apartment. Not yet, he'd insisted. The board is conservative. They might force one of us out, and I'm not willing to lose either you or your expertise right now. She'd accepted his reasoning, believing their professional accomplishments would eventually create a foundation solid enough to withstand the revelation of their relationship. For 6 months, they'd maintained the charade, consummate professionals by day, passionate lovers by night. Then came the Westlake acquisition. The numbers don't add up, Olivia had told Maxwell, spreading financial reports across his desk after hours. Their valuation is inflated by at least 30%. If we go forward with this acquisition at the proposed price, we're essentially committing fraud against our shareholders. The board wants this acquisition, Maxwell had replied, his voice taking on an edge she'd never heard directed at her before. Westlake's patents alone make it worthwhile. The patents are overvalued too. Their last 3 products failed clinical trials. Fix the report, Olivia. The words had hung between them like a physical barrier. Excuse me? Find a way to make the numbers work. That's your job. My job is to ensure compliance, not manipulate data to justify bad decisions. Maxwell's expression had hardened. Sometimes, compliance means understanding what's best for the company's future. What you're asking me to do is illegal. I'm asking you to be a team player. I won't falsify financial reports, Maxwell, not even for you. His jaw had tightened. Then perhaps you're not as committed to this company as I thought, or to us. The conversation had ended there, a stalemate that left Olivia sleepless that night. The next morning, she'd arrived early to find alternative approaches to the acquisition, ways to structure the deal that might satisfy the board without crossing ethical lines. Instead, she'd been summoned to an emergency board meeting. The moment she'd entered the boardroom, she'd known something was terribly wrong. Maxwell sat at the head of the table, his expression glacial. The board members' faces ranged from confusion to outright hostility. Miss Barrett, the board chairman had begun. Serious concerns have been raised about your financial projections for the Westlake acquisition. My projections? Olivia had looked to Maxwell for explanation, but his eyes remained fixed on his tablet. Mr. Rhodes has brought to our attention significant errors in your analysis that, if acted upon, would have cost this company millions in lost opportunity. For the next excruciating hour, Olivia had watched as Maxwell systematically dismantled her professional reputation. He presented manipulated versions of her reports, making it appear as though she deliberately attempted to sabotage the acquisition. When she tried to defend herself, to explain that these were not her original findings, the chairman cut her off. Mr. Rhodes has provided us with the original data and your interpretations. The evidence is conclusive. By meeting's end, Olivia had been stripped of her position, her department, her professional dignity. As security arrived to escort her from the building, Maxwell had pulled her aside into a conference room for what she'd naively believed would be an explanation. Instead, he delivered the final blow. You disappointed me, Olivia. I thought you understood how things work in this world. By this world, do you mean the one where powerful men expect women to compromise their integrity on command? His eyes had hardened. I mean the world where people who want to succeed understand the necessity of occasional compromise. What you wanted wasn't compromise. It was corruption. Such dramatic language. He'd sighed, as though dealing with a petulant child. This is why it never would have worked between us anyway. You're too rigid, too idealistic. And you're too comfortable with dishonesty. Maxwell had stepped closer then, his voice dropping to a cruel whisper. Let me be honest with you now, then. You were a diversion, Olivia. Intellectually stimulating, sexually satisfying, but ultimately temporary. I need a partner who understands my world, who can give me what I truly want. And what's that? A family. Children to carry on what I've built. His gaze had raked over her dismissively. The doctors were quite clear during your last physical, weren't they? Diminished ovarian reserve. Unlikely to conceive naturally. He'd shaken his head with mock sympathy. Someone like you doesn't deserve to be a mother anyway. You'd raise children with the same inflexible principles that just cost you your career. The words had struck deeper than any physical blow. During their relationship, Olivia had confided in Maxwell about her fears regarding fertility, sharing the devastating medical assessment that had suggested she might never have children naturally. He had held her while she cried, promised her that it didn't matter to him. Another lie. 2 security guards had appeared at the door then. "Miss Barrett, we need to escort you from the premises." "That won't be necessary," she'd replied with dignity she didn't feel. "I know the way out." With her head held high, Olivia had walked through the office she'd once commanded, past colleagues who averted their eyes, down the elevator, and out of Rhodes Industries for what she believed would be forever. 2 weeks later, the nausea had started. The pregnancy test, positive. The doctor's amazement, complete. Sometimes medical science gets it wrong, her obstetrician had said, and sometimes the body does extraordinary things in spite of the odds. The ultrasound had revealed an even greater miracle. Twins, a boy and a girl, growing healthy and strong despite every prediction to the contrary. Olivia had made a decision then. Maxwell Rhodes would never know about these children. He had forfeited any right to them the moment he had used her medical condition as a weapon against her. For 4 years, she had kept that promise to herself. She had rebuilt her professional life, establishing Barrett Ethics Consulting, a firm specializing in corporate compliance and ethical business practices. The irony wasn't lost on her that some of her clients were companies competing directly with Rhodes Industries, seeking guidance on how to succeed without the ethical shortcuts Maxwell was rumored to employ. She had created a stable, loving home for Emma and Ethan. They were happy, thriving, and completely unaware of the powerful man whose blood ran through their veins, whose eyes they had inherited, whose determined nature showed itself in every milestone they conquered ahead of schedule. And now, this invitation, this deliberate provocation. "He doesn't know, does he?" Renee asked, interrupting Olivia's thoughts. "About the twins? No one from that world knows. I made sure of it." "Then why give him the satisfaction of seeing you now, of thinking he can still hurt you?" Olivia traced the outline of Emma's face in the photograph. "Because someday, they're going to ask about their father. They're going to want to know who they are and where they came from." She looked up at her friend, determination replacing the shock that had initially overwhelmed her. "I want to be able to tell them I gave him a chance to be in their lives. That whatever happened afterward was his choice, not mine." Renee sighed, recognizing the resolute expression on her friend's face. "You're going to do this, aren't you?" "I think I have to." "Then I'm coming with you," Renee declared, reaching for the takeout bag she'd abandoned. "No way am I letting you walk into that viper's nest alone." As they unpacked the food, Olivia's mind raced with plans and preparations. The baby shower was 2 weeks away. 2 weeks to prepare herself emotionally for a confrontation 4 years in the making. 2 weeks to decide exactly how to introduce Maxwell Rhodes to the children he had claimed she didn't deserve to have. 2 weeks to orchestrate a moment of truth that would shatter the perfect image he had worked so hard to construct. "Just promise me one thing," Renee said, handing Olivia a container of pad thai. "Promise me you're doing this for Emma and Ethan, not to get revenge on Maxwell." "Why can't it be both?" Olivia asked with a small, sad smile. "Because revenge keeps you tethered to the past. Your children deserve a mother focused on their future." Olivia nodded slowly, absorbing the wisdom in her friend's words. "You're right. This isn't about making Maxwell pay. It's about giving my children the opportunity to know their father, if he proves worthy of them." She took a deep breath. "And if he doesn't, at least I'll know I tried." What Olivia didn't say, what she barely admitted to herself, was that beneath her righteous determination lurked a question she'd never fully answered. Had there ever been genuine feeling in Maxwell's eyes when he looked at her, or had she simply been another acquisition, evaluated and eventually discarded when she failed to meet his specifications? In 2 weeks, she would have her answer. And whatever it might be, she would face it with the same strength that had carried her through the past 4 years, not just for herself, but for the 2 precious lives who depended on her. What Olivia didn't know was that Maxwell had a very specific reason for inviting her. One that had nothing to do with reconciliation and everything to do with the billion-dollar merger that hinged on his marriage to Charlotte and the heir she now carried. The morning of the baby shower arrived with unseasonable warmth for early October, sunshine spilling through Olivia's bedroom windows as though nature itself approved of her decision. She'd slept fitfully, dreams filled with boardroom confrontations and Maxwell's cold eyes, but the sound of Emma's babbling through the baby monitor pulled her firmly back to reality. "Ma, ma, ma," came the insistent call, followed by Ethan's answering giggles. This was her reality now, not corporate politics or Maxwell's betrayal, but the joyful chaos of raising twins who seemed determined to conquer the world at 18 months. Olivia smiled despite her nervousness, pushing aside the covers and padding down the hall to the nursery. "Good morning, my little conspirators," she said, opening the door to find both children standing in their cribs, faces lighting up at her appearance. Emma, with her serious blue eyes and halo of dark curls, reached up immediately. "Up, Mama." Ethan, more patient but no less determined, clutched the rail of his crib and bounced on his pudgy legs, his smile revealing 4 perfect teeth. Olivia lifted Emma first, then Ethan, gathering them into a group hug that centered her more effectively than any meditation practice. "Today's a big day," she whispered into their soft hair. "Today you're going to meet someone very important." "Nini?" Ethan asked hopefully, always excited to see his godmother Renee. "Yes, Auntie Renee will be there," Olivia confirmed, setting them down to begin the morning routine. "And someone else too. Someone who looks a lot like you both." The twins, of course, didn't understand the significance of her words, but saying them aloud helped Olivia solidify her resolve. This wasn't about reopening old wounds, it was about creating possibilities for her children's future. 3 hours later, after breakfast, baths, and careful outfit selection, Olivia stood before her full-length mirror, assessing her own appearance with a critical eye. She'd chosen a sapphire blue dress that complemented her olive complexion and brought out the amber flecks in her dark eyes. The cut was conservative but flattering, projecting confidence and success without trying too hard. Her phone buzzed with a text from Renee, "Outside whenever you're ready. Deep breaths, warrior." Olivia smiled at her friend's encouragement. Renee had been her rock through pregnancy, childbirth, and the challenging early months of twin parenthood. Today would be no different. "All right, troops," she announced, returning to the living room where the twins were playing. "Time for our adventure." Time. 45 minutes later, Renee's SUV turned onto the private drive leading to the Rhodes estate in Potomac, Maryland. The property sprawled across 10 manicured acres, the main house a modernist masterpiece of glass and stone that Maxwell had commissioned from a famous architect the year before Olivia had met him. "Good Lord," Renee muttered as they approached the security checkpoint. "Overcompensating much?" "The house actually suits him," Olivia replied, surprising herself with the observation. "Beautiful but cold, impressive but unwelcoming. Just like the man himself." Renee slowed as they reached the guard booth. Game face on. The security guard, impeccably dressed in a dark suit despite the warm weather, approached the car window. "Names, please." "Olivia Barrett," she replied steadily. "And guests." The guard consulted his tablet, frowning slightly. "I have Miss Barrett on the list, but no additional guests." "These are my children," Olivia explained, gesturing to the twins secured in their car seats. "And my friend is driving us." The guard's eyes flickered to the back seat, his professional demeanor slipping momentarily as he registered the twins' appearance. With their dark hair and distinctive blue eyes, Maxwell's eyes, there was no mistaking their parentage. "One moment, please." He stepped away from the vehicle, speaking quietly into his radio. $10 says he's calling the big man himself," Renee whispered. "No bet," Olivia replied, her heart rate accelerating. This was the first test. Would Maxwell deny them entry once he learned she hadn't come alone? After a tense minute, the guard returned and nodded curtly. "You may proceed to the main house. Valet parking is available at the circular drive." As they pulled away, Renee shot Olivia a questioning look. "Round 1 to Barrett." "He's curious," Olivia said, smoothing her dress. "He wants to see what I'm up to. Or he doesn't want to create a scene by turning you away at the gate. Either way, we're in." The driveway curved through perfectly landscaped grounds, revealing glimpses of the sprawling estate. Olivia recognized some elements from her previous visits, the sculpture garden, the infinity pool overlooking the Potomac River, but noted new additions as well. A children's play area had been installed near the guest house, complete with an elaborate treehouse and swing set. Preparing for the air, she thought with a mixture of sadness and determination. As they approached the main house, Olivia saw dozens of luxury vehicles lined up along the circular drive. Black-suited valets moved efficiently between cars, while uniformed staff directed guests toward the entrance. "Last chance to back out," Renee said quietly as they pulled up to the valet station. Olivia looked at the twins in the rearview mirror. Emma was chewing contentedly on her teething necklace, while Ethan watched the activity outside with fascination. These beautiful, innocent children deserve to know their heritage, for better or worse. "No going back now," she replied, opening her door before she could reconsider. A valet appeared immediately, offering assistance with the twins, while another attendant took charge of Renee's vehicle. Olivia declined help, preferring to unbuckle her children herself. As she lifted Ethan from his car seat, she felt Renee's steadying hand on her shoulder. "Whatever happens in there," her friend murmured, "remember that you've already won. You built an amazing life without him." Olivia nodded, grateful for the reminder. With Emma balanced on her left hip and Ethan holding her right hand, she ascended the wide stone steps leading to the main entrance. Renee followed closely, carrying the diaper bag and the elegantly wrapped gift Olivia had insisted on bringing. A gift? Seriously? Renee had questioned when Olivia selected the sterling silver baby cup. "Taking the high road," Olivia had explained. "Plus, I want everyone to see that I came in peace. Whatever happens afterward is on him." Now, standing before the massive glass doors of Maxwell's home, that gift felt like both shield and statement. She was here as a guest, bringing appropriate congratulations. The fact that she also brought living proof of Maxwell's cruelest lie was simply karma. The doors opened as they approached, a butler nodding formally. "Welcome to the Rhodes residence, Miss Barrett." The grand entrance hall soared 3 stories high, its far wall entirely glass to showcase the spectacular river view. Today, the space had been transformed for the celebration, with tasteful decorations in cream and gold. A string quartet played in one corner, while uniformed servers circulated with champagne and canapes. Olivia's entrance didn't create an immediate sensation. Guests continued their conversations. The music played on, and for a brief, disorienting moment, she wondered if this confrontation would be anticlimactic after all. Then, like a wave rolling inexorably toward shore, awareness spread through the gathering. Conversations faltered as heads turned in her direction. The music continued, but now it felt like soundtrack to a drama unfolding in slow motion. Olivia recognized many faces, board members, executives, socialites who moved in Maxwell's circles. Some showed surprise, others curiosity, a few outright hostility. She held her head high, moving forward with measured steps, the twins an unwitting vanguard in this moment of truth. And then she saw him. Maxwell Rhodes stood near the far windows, striking in a tailored charcoal suit that emphasized his tall, athletic build. At 47, he remained devastatingly handsome, his dark hair now accented with distinguished silver at the temples, his posture radiating the effortless authority that had first attracted her. Beside him stood Charlotte, his wife of 3 years, resplendent in a pale pink maternity dress that showcased her 7-month pregnancy. She was beautiful in the polished way of old money, her blonde hair swept into an elegant updo, diamonds glittering at her throat and wrists. The perfect corporate wife, carrying the perfect air. Maxwell was mid-conversation with an older couple Olivia recognized as major shareholders, when something, perhaps the sudden lull in ambient noise, caused him to look up. His eyes scanned the room, searching for the disruption, and then locked with Olivia's across the crowded space. She watched a series of emotions flicker across his face, surprise, confusion, wariness. Then his gaze dropped to the children, and Olivia saw the precise moment recognition dawned. His expression froze, champagne flute suspended halfway to his lips. Charlotte noticed his distraction and followed his gaze. Who invited her? Her voice carried clearly through the momentary hush, her French accent more pronounced with emotion. The champagne glass slipped from Maxwell's fingers, shattering on the marble floor. The sound seemed to break the spell that had momentarily paralyzed the room. Conversations resumed, though notably more hushed, with frequent glances toward the unfolding drama. "I did." Maxwell's response was quiet but firm as he handed his shattered glass to a nearby server and made his way toward Olivia. Each step he took seemed to echo in Olivia's ears. She felt Emma tighten her grip around her neck while Ethan pressed against her leg, suddenly shy in the face of so many strangers. Renee moved closer, a protective presence at her back. "Olivia." Maxwell stopped a few feet away, his voice carefully controlled. "I'm surprised you came." Your invitation was quite insistent. She kept her own voice light, professional. Congratulations to you and Charlotte. His eyes dropped again to the children, lingering on their features with an intensity that made Olivia's protective instincts flare. And who are these little ones? My children. Olivia shifted Emma slightly on her hip. Emma and Ethan. I didn't realize you had started a family. There's a lot you don't know about me. It's been 4 years, after all. The unspoken question hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. Around them, guests pretended not to stare while hanging on every word. They're beautiful children, Maxwell said finally, his voice strained. How old are they? 18 months. The simple answer was enough. Maxwell was nothing if not quick with numbers. She could see him doing the mental calculation, counting back to determine when they must have been conceived. The flash of realization in his eyes confirmed he understood exactly what she wasn't saying. I see. Do you? Before he could respond, Charlotte appeared at his side, one hand resting protectively on her swollen belly, the other linked possessively through Maxwell's arm. Maxwell, darling, aren't you going to introduce me to your former employee? Charlotte, this is Olivia Barrett. She was our head of financial compliance until 4 years ago. Until you fired her quite publicly, if I recall the story correctly. Charlotte's smile was brittle as her gaze shifted to the twins. And these are? My children, Olivia repeated. How convenient that you were able to bring them to an adults-only event. The invitation didn't specify adults only, Olivia replied smoothly. And I wouldn't miss the chance to congratulate you both on your upcoming arrival. She shifted Emma to her other hip and reached into the gift bag Renee held out. A small gift for the baby. One. Charlotte made no move to take it, so Maxwell accepted it with a tight nod. Thank you. That's very thoughtful. Perhaps we could speak privately, he added in a lower tone. I'm not sure that's appropriate. Charlotte interjected sharply. It's just a brief business matter, Maxwell assured her, though his eyes never left Olivia's face. We'll use the library. The library, where Olivia had first encountered Maxwell alone during that long-ago holiday party, where their professional relationship had first shifted towards something more personal. She felt a chill run down her spine at the thought of being alone with him in that room again. Renee can watch the twins, she said, glancing at her friend who nodded in understanding. Lead the way. As they crossed the room, Olivia felt the weight of dozens of curious stares. This was exactly the scene she had both dreaded and secretly anticipated. The moment when Maxwell Rhodes would have to face the consequences of his actions in front of the very people he'd once impressed with her dismissal. The library was exactly as she remembered it. Rich mahogany shelving, leather-bound first editions, the massive antique desk where Maxwell had once pulled her into his lap, his mouth hot against her neck, his hands urgent on her body. She pushed the memory away, focusing instead on the family photographs that now lined his desk, Maxwell and Charlotte at their wedding, on vacation in the Alps, at charity galas, where they epitomized power couple perfection. Why are you here, Olivia? Maxwell closed the door behind them, his voice losing its public polish. You invited me. As a gesture of goodwill. I didn't expect you to actually come, and certainly not with. He ran a hand through his hair, a rare gesture of discomposure from a man known for his unflappable control. Are they mine? The directness of the question shouldn't have surprised her, but it still made her heart race. What do you think? I think they have my eyes. My mother's chin. I think the timing aligns perfectly with when we were together. Congratulations on your deductive reasoning. Don't. His voice sharpened. Don't make this a game. Why didn't you tell me? Tell you? Olivia laughed, the sound hollow. When exactly should I have told you, Maxwell? When you were calling me incompetent in front of the board? When you were suggesting I'd tried to sabotage the company? When you were having security escort me from the building? After. You could have told me after. I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after you destroyed my professional reputation in the financial sector. By then, you had already issued press releases questioning my ethics. You were already seen around town with Charlotte. Maxwell looked away, jaw tight. You should have told me anyway. Why? So you could accuse me of trying to trap you? So you could offer me money to go away quietly? Olivia shook her head. No, you made your choice. You chose your company's stock price over integrity. You chose Charlotte and her family connections over what we had. It wasn't that simple. It was exactly that simple. I refused to falsify reports to make the quarterly numbers look better. You had a choice between doing the right thing and protecting your precious share price. You chose wrong. I had responsibilities to shareholders, to employees, to yourself. Olivia cut in. Be honest, at least here, now. You chose what was easiest for you. Maxwell was silent for a long moment, staring at the family photos on his desk. When he finally spoke, his voice was quieter. You're right. The simple admission knocked the wind from her sails. She had expected denial, justification, perhaps even anger, not this quiet acceptance. I was wrong, he continued, about all of it. The reports, the way I handled the situation, the things I said about you. And yet you never reached out to apologize. Would you have accepted an apology? We'll never know, will we? Maxwell moved closer, close enough that she could smell his familiar cologne. I want to know my children, Olivia. They're not a consolation prize for your guilt. That's not what I'm saying. They're my flesh and blood. I have a right. You have no rights, Olivia cut in sharply. You forfeited any rights when you chose to destroy me, professionally rather than stand by me. And then why come here today? Why bring them at all if not to open that door? It was the question Olivia had been asking herself for 2 weeks. Why had she come? To hurt him? To show him what he'd lost? To give her children a chance to know their father? I came because I'm tired of secrets, she said finally. I came because someday Emma and Ethan will ask about their father, and I want to be able to tell them I gave you a chance to be in their lives. Whether you take that chance is up to you. Maxwell looked at her with an intensity that reminded her of the man she'd fallen for, the brilliant, driven visionary, not the calculating CEO who had discarded her to protect his bottom line. What would taking that chance look like? He asked quietly. I don't know yet, but it would start with you acknowledging them publicly. No secrets, no shame. That would mean admitting I had an affair with an employee. It would mean explaining to Charlotte. If that's too complicated for you, then we have nothing more to discuss. Olivia turned toward the door. Wait. Maxwell's hand caught her arm, gentle but insistent. Please, I need time to think, to figure out how to handle this. You've had 4 years. I didn't know about them for 4 years. That's not my fault. I'm not saying it is. He released her arm, stepping back. Just, don't leave yet. Let me at least meet them properly. 1. Something in his voice, a note of genuine longing, made Olivia pause. She thought of Emma and Ethan, of the empty space in their lives where a father should be. She thought of her own determination to be better than Maxwell, to take the high road. All right, she conceded. You can meet them, but not as their father, not yet. Just as my former boss. Relief washed over his face. Thank you. When they returned to the party, Charlotte was holding court with a group of society women, her expression tightening when she saw Maxwell and Olivia emerge from the library together. Renee sat in a corner with the twins, who were contentedly eating small sandwiches from the refreshment table. Emma, Ethan, Olivia called softly. Come meet someone. The twins looked up at the sound of their mother's voice. Ethan immediately slid down from his chair and toddled over, while Emma followed more cautiously, studying Maxwell with serious eyes. This is Mr. Rhodes, Olivia said. He used to work with Mommy. Maxwell crouched down to their level, his movements careful as if approaching wild animals. Hello, Emma. Hello, Ethan. It's very nice to meet you. It's very nice to meet you. Ethan, always the more outgoing twin, stepped forward. Big, he declared, pointing up at the soaring ceiling. A genuine smile broke across Maxwell's face. Yes, it is big. Too big, sometimes. No. Mama, Emma said, reaching for Olivia's hand while continuing to study Maxwell with serious consideration. It's okay, sweetheart, Olivia assured her. Mr. Rhodes is a friend. The word felt strange on her tongue, but she couldn't bring herself to say your father in this moment, in this place. Maxwell seemed to understand. I have some toys in another room, he offered. Would you like to see them? Ethan nodded enthusiastically, while Emma looked to her mother for guidance. Perhaps another time, Olivia suggested, noting Charlotte making her way toward them with determined strides. Today is about celebrating your baby. The moment was interrupted by Charlotte's arrival, her social smile firmly in place but her eyes cold. Maxwell, the Harringtons are asking for you. Something about the Milan project. Of course. Maxwell straightened, composing his features into a professional mask. Olivia, thank you for coming. Perhaps we could arrange another meeting to discuss. ongoing matters. I'd be open to that. As Maxwell walked away, drawn back into his world of business connections and social obligations, Charlotte lingered. She waited until he was out of earshot before speaking. "I know exactly what you're doing," she said, her voice low enough that only Olivia could hear. "I'm attending a party I was invited to. You're trying to disrupt what Maxwell and I have built. It won't work." "I'm not trying to disrupt anything. I'm simply introducing my children to their father." Charlotte's composure slipped, just for a moment. "You expect me to believe this conveniently timed revelation? That these children are Maxwell's? I don't particularly care what you believe. DNA doesn't lie. And you think he'll leave everything we've built, our marriage, our home, our coming child, for some former fling and her dubious claim?" Olivia gathered the twins closer, protective. "I'm not asking him to leave anything. I'm offering him the chance to know his children. What he does with that chance is his decision." Charlotte's hand drifted to her belly. "This child is Maxwell's heir, the future of Rhodes Industries. Don't think your little surprise will change that. I'm not interested in your husband's money or his company. I built my own successful business after he destroyed my reputation. I came here today for one reason only, so my children would have the opportunity to know their father if he chooses to be worthy of them." She took Emma and Ethan by the hands. "Now, if you'll excuse us, I think we've made our point." As they walked away, Olivia felt lighter than she had in years. The truth was out. The decision was made. Whatever happened next was up to Maxwell. "That went about as well as could be expected," Renee murmured as they gathered their things. "Better than I expected, actually." Olivia glanced across the room where Maxwell stood watching them, his expression unreadable. She gave him a small nod, not forgiveness, not yet, but an acknowledgement that the door was open, just a crack. Whether he had the courage to walk through it remained to be seen. But what Maxwell would do next would change everything. If you're enjoying this story of confrontation and hidden truths, hit that like button and comment what you would have done in Olivia's position. Subscribe to Lux Love Chronicles with Mr. Wentworth for more powerful stories that capture the complexity of love, betrayal, and redemption. The drive home from the Rhodes estate was quiet, the twins exhausted from the excitement and now napping peacefully in their car seats. Renee kept glancing at Olivia, who stared out the passenger window, lost in thought. "You okay?" Renee finally asked as they turned onto the highway. "I don't know," Olivia admitted. "I've imagined confronting him 1,000 times, but I never pictured him actually admitting he was wrong." "You think he meant it?" "That's the question, isn't it?" Olivia sighed, watching the Maryland countryside blur past. "Maxwell Rhodes is a master strategist. Even his apologies might be calculated moves." "What does your gut tell you?" Olivia considered the question carefully. That he was genuinely shocked. That seeing the twins affected him in a way he didn't anticipate. She paused. "And that Charlotte is going to make this as difficult as possible." "Of course she is. You just walked in with living proof that her perfect husband had a meaningful relationship before her. And worse, you produced what he apparently values most, heirs. Heirs. She's carrying his child too." "Yes, but you beat her to it, and with twins, no less." Renee grinned momentarily before growing serious again. "Do you think he'll actually try to be part of their lives?" "I don't know. Part of me hopes he will. For Emma and Ethan's sake. Another part is terrified of what that would mean: shared custody, legal battles, Maxwell's influence on their values." "Their values are already being shaped by the best mother I know," Renee said firmly. "Nothing can change that." Olivia reached over to squeeze her friend's hand gratefully. "Thank you for everything today. Hey, what are godmothers for if not to provide moral support during dramatic confrontations with billionaire exes?" They laughed together, releasing some of the tension that had built throughout the day. By the time they arrived home, Olivia felt more centered, more certain that whatever happened next, she and her children would be okay. What she couldn't have anticipated was how quickly Maxwell would act. The next morning, Olivia was preparing breakfast when her phone rang with an unfamiliar number. She almost let it go to voicemail, hands full with sippy cups and Cheerios, but something made her answer. "Olivia Barrett speaking." "Miss Barrett, this is Diane Lowell, Mr. Rhodes' executive assistant." The woman's voice was crisp, professional. "Mr. Rhodes would like to meet with you today to discuss matters of mutual interest. Would 2 p.m. at your office be convenient?" Olivia nearly dropped the phone. Maxwell was coming to her territory? Yes, I suppose that would work. Excellent. Mr. Rhodes will see you then. The call ended before Olivia could ask any questions. She stared at her phone in disbelief. Mama, more, Ethan demanded, banging his spoon on his high-chair tray. Coming, sweetheart, she replied automatically, her mind racing. Maxwell was coming to her office today, which meant she needed to call her assistant, reschedule her afternoon appointments, and figure out what the hell this meeting was actually about. And she needed to look absolutely, unquestionably successful when he arrived. At precisely 2 p.m., Maxwell Rhodes walked into the offices of Barrett Ethics Consulting. Olivia had positioned herself behind her desk, a power move she'd learned from watching him years ago. The space was modestly sized but impeccably designed, with awards and press clippings tastefully displayed on the walls, evidence of how far she'd come without him. Impressive, Maxwell said, taking in the surroundings. You've built something substantial here. Thank you. Olivia gestured to the chair opposite her desk. Please sit. He did, setting an expensive leather portfolio on his lap. Today, he wore a navy suit that Olivia recognized as bespoke Italian craftsmanship, every inch the corporate titan. But there was something different about his demeanor, a certain tension, perhaps, or vulnerability that hadn't been there yesterday. I appreciate you seeing me on short notice, he began. I was curious what couldn't wait. Maxwell nodded, accepting her directness. Yesterday was illuminating. He opened the portfolio and removed a sealed envelope. I've spent the night thinking about what you said, about what I owe to Emma and Ethan. And I want to be part of their lives. He placed the envelope on her desk. This is my proposal. Olivia eyed the envelope warily. If that contains a check, you can take it right back. It's not money. Well, not directly. Maxwell leaned forward. It's a legal framework for how I envision our arrangement working. Visitation schedules, financial support for education and other needs, provisions for their future inheritance from Rhodes Industries. Thanks for watching. You had your lawyers draft custody papers overnight? I had them draft options. Nothing is final without your agreement. Olivia left the envelope untouched. Why the rush? Maxwell's expression tightened. Because once Charlotte recovers from her initial shock, she's going to push for damage control. I wanted to establish my intentions before that happens. And what exactly are your intentions, Maxwell? To know my children, to be their father in whatever capacity you deem appropriate. He hesitated, and to make amends for how I treated you. Olivia studied him carefully, looking for signs of the manipulation she'd witnessed 4 years ago. But all she saw was a man confronting unexpected consequences, trying to navigate unfamiliar emotional territory. Charlotte won't accept this easily. Charlotte doesn't have to accept it. This isn't her decision. You're married to her, expecting a child with her. Her family's shipping conglomerate is merging with Rhodes Industries in what financial press is calling the deal of the decade. Olivia shook her head. Everything in your life is connected to her now. Maxwell's jaw tightened. Not everything. The simple statement hung between them, loaded with implications, neither was ready to address. Olivia finally reached for the envelope, opening it carefully. Inside was indeed a comprehensive legal proposal, detailing everything from visitation schedules to educational trusts. As she skimmed the document, one clause in particular caught her attention. You want DNA testing. Standard procedure in these situations. These situations being children you've only just discovered? Olivia. Maxwell's voice softened. I have no doubt they're mine. One look at them confirms it. But my attorneys insisted on official verification before setting up trusts and inheritance provisions. She could understand the legal necessity, but it still stung. Fine, we can arrange testing next week. Thank you. He paused, watching her continue to review the document. There's something else we need to discuss. What's that? The media. Once Charlotte's family learns about Emma and Ethan, this will likely become public. I want us to control the narrative rather than having it controlled for us. Olivia set down the papers, suddenly remembering why Maxwell had been so successful in business. He was always 3 steps ahead, anticipating problems before they materialized. You want to announce that you have secret twins? I want to announce that I've recently learned I'm the father of 18-month-old twins from a previous relationship, and that I'm committed to being part of their lives while maintaining my marriage and preparing to welcome my 3rd child. The clinical way he outlined it made Olivia wince. And how do you think that will play with Charlotte's family? With your board of directors? With the merger? It will complicate things. It could derail everything. Possibly. His expression remained unreadable. But I've made my decision. Olivia sat back, genuinely surprised. Why? Why risk your empire for children you just met? Maxwell was quiet for a long moment, his gaze drifting to the window. When he spoke, his voice had lost its corporate polish. Because when I saw them yesterday, something changed. Seeing my eyes looking back at me, seeing how beautiful and perfect they are. He looked back at Olivia. I've built my life around acquisition and legacy. Yesterday I realized that my most important legacy was being raised without me knowing they existed. The raw honesty in his voice caught Olivia off guard. This was not the calculated response she'd expected. What about Charlotte? She asked. Your baby with her? I will be equally committed to all my children. His expression hardened slightly. Charlotte will adjust to the reality, or she won't. But I won't deny Emma and Ethan to protect her feelings or her family's business interests. Olivia wanted to believe him, wanted to believe that Maxwell Rhodes could prioritize his children over business advantage. But 4 years of rebuilding her life from the ashes he'd created had taught her caution. I need time to think about this, to consult with my own attorney. Of course. Maxwell stood, straightening his jacket with that unconscious grace that had once captivated her. Take whatever time you need. But Olivia? His eyes met hers directly. I meant what I said yesterday. I was wrong about everything, especially about you not deserving to be a mother. You've clearly done an extraordinary job with them. The compliment, delivered without calculation or charm, struck deeper than she expected. Thank you. As he turned to leave, something made her call after him. Maxwell? He paused at the door. Why did you really invite me to the baby shower? Was it just to mock me about not having children? A shadow passed over his face. Charlotte suggested it. She found an old photo of us in my study and wanted to know who you were. When I explained, she seemed fixated on the idea that you had been important to me. The invitation was her idea. To humiliate me? To prove something to herself, I think. He shook his head slightly. I should have refused. It was petty and cruel, and I apologize for being part of it. After he left, Olivia sat motionless behind her desk, trying to process everything that had just happened. Maxwell Rhodes, the man who had crushed her professionally and personally, was now proposing co-parenting, inheritance rights, and public acknowledgement of their children. It was either the most elaborate manipulation he'd ever attempted, or the first truly honest interaction they'd had in 4 years. Her intercom buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. Miss Barrett, there's a Miss Charlotte Rhodes here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she's quite insistent. Olivia closed her eyes briefly, gathering her strength. Of course Charlotte would come. The battle for Maxwell's legacy was just beginning. Send her in. Charlotte Rhodes entered the office like a queen, gracing a commoner with her presence, her pregnancy displayed prominently in an expertly tailored designer maternity dress. Her cold appraisal of Olivia's professional domain spoke volumes about her assumptions. So this is where you've been hiding, she said by way of greeting, remaining standing despite the chair Olivia indicated. I haven't been hiding, Charlotte. I've been building a successful business while raising my children. Maxwell's children, you mean? How convenient that you remembered their paternity just as our merger is about to be finalized. Olivia maintained her professional demeanor despite the provocation. I've never forgotten their paternity. I simply chose not to involve Maxwell after the way he treated me. Yet here you are, involving him now. He invited me to your baby shower with a note specifically mentioning my childlessness. Surely you understood the risk of that particular taunt? Charlotte's perfect features tightened. The invitation was a test. One you failed spectacularly by turning a private matter into a public scene. I brought my children to meet their father. There was nothing public about my intention. Please? Charlotte finally took the offered seat, arranging herself with practiced grace. You could have contacted Maxwell privately at any time during the past 4 years. Instead, you chose to make a dramatic entrance at an event attended by our closest friends and business associates. The timing is suspicious at best, deliberate sabotage at worst. Olivia folded her hands on her desk, refusing to be intimidated. You can believe whatever you want about my motivations, Charlotte. The fact remains that Emma and Ethan are Maxwell's children, and he has expressed a desire to be part of their lives. Maxwell is preparing to welcome our child, the child we planned together, the child that will inherit Rhodes Industries. Charlotte's hand moved protectively over her belly. Your timing threatens everything we've built. I'm not threatening anything. I'm not asking for money, for shares in the company, or for Maxwell to leave you. Olivia's voice remained steady. My only concern is my children's well-being. Charlotte leaned forward, her blue eyes glacial. Let me be perfectly clear. The Devereaux Rhodes merger represents a combining of dynasties. My family's shipping empire and Maxwell's technology conglomerate will create the most powerful corporate entity on the eastern seaboard. My child will inherit that legacy. That has nothing to do with Emma and Ethan. It has everything to do with them if Maxwell acknowledges them publicly. Charlotte's voice took on a dangerous edge. The merger agreement includes specific morality clauses. My father is extremely traditional. If the world learns that Maxwell fathered illegitimate children with an employee he fired for incompetence, the entire deal could collapse. So that was it. The merger, not the marriage, was Charlotte's primary concern. Olivia wasn't entirely surprised. That sounds like Maxwell's problem, not mine. Make it your problem. Charlotte reached into her designer handbag and withdrew a folded document. This is my counteroffer. Olivia didn't reach for it. Counteroffer to what? To whatever Maxwell proposed. Charlotte placed the document on the desk. $10 million in exchange for your silence and a legally binding agreement never to publicly claim Maxwell as the twins' father. The boldness of the offer momentarily stunned Olivia. You're trying to buy my children's identity? I'm offering financial security for your family while protecting mine. Charlotte's expression was pure calculation. $10 million would provide for every need they could ever have. Private education, trust funds, eventual nest eggs for their own families. All without the public scrutiny and tabloid attention that would come from being known as Maxwell Rhodes' secret offspring. Then what would I tell them when they're older and ask about their father? Tell them whatever you want in private. Tell them he was a brilliant businessman who had to make difficult choices. Tell them he cared for them from afar. Charlotte shrugged elegantly. Just don't tell the world. Olivia studied the woman across from her, beautiful, privileged, accustomed to solving problems with money. In another life, she might have pitied Charlotte's transactional view of family. Today, she simply found it sad. No. Charlotte blinked, clearly unaccustomed to direct refusal. Excuse me? No, Olivia repeated firmly. I won't take your money, and I won't deny my children their heritage. 20 million. It's not about the money, Charlotte. Everyone has a price. Not for this. Olivia stood, signaling the end of the conversation. My children deserve to know their father if he wants to know them. They deserve to understand their place in the world, including their connection to the Rhodes family. Charlotte rose as well, gathering her handbag with brittle composure. You're making a serious mistake. Maxwell may be experiencing a moment of paternal curiosity, but I know my husband. Once the novelty wears off, once he's holding our child in his arms, your twins will fade into the background of his consciousness. That's his choice to make. Consider carefully what you're doing, Olivia. Charlotte moved toward the door, then paused. This path leads to public scrutiny, legal battles, and eventually, disappointment for those children. Is that really what you want for them? After Charlotte left, Olivia sank back into her chair, the weight of what lay ahead settling on her shoulders. She had just refused $20 million and likely made a powerful enemy in the process. But looking at the photos of Emma and Ethan on her desk, she knew she'd made the right decision. Her phone buzzed with a text from Renee. How did the meeting with Maxwell go? She typed back. Complicated. Very complicated. Charlotte just offered me $20 million to keep quiet about the twins. Ben. 3 dots appeared immediately, followed by, what? I'm coming over tonight with wine. Lots of wine. Olivia smiled despite her stress. With friends like Renee, she could face whatever storms lay ahead. 3 days later, Olivia sat on a bench at Potomac Park, watching Emma and Ethan explore the playground with the fearless curiosity of toddlers. The autumn air was crisp, leaves crunching beneath tiny sneakers as they discovered the joy of fallen foliage. Higher, Mama, Emma called from the baby swing, her face alight with excitement. Olivia obliged, giving another gentle push. These ordinary moments of joy had sustained her through the challenges of single motherhood. Whatever happened with Maxwell, she would protect this happiness fiercely. A sleek black SUV pulled into the parking area, and Olivia felt her pulse quicken as Maxwell emerged. He had dressed down for the occasion, dark jeans and a cashmere sweater rather than his usual suit, but still carried himself with the unmistakable confidence of a man accustomed to commanding rooms. He approached slowly, giving her time to prepare the twins for his arrival. This meeting had been arranged through careful negotiation, neutral territory, limited time, no discussion of legal matters. Today was simply about Maxwell getting to know his children. "They look happy," he observed, stopping beside her bench. "They are happy." Olivia kept her voice neutral. "They're resilient, curious, and generally content with their world." Maxwell nodded, his eyes fixed on the twins. "Which one likes the swings?" "Emma. She's fearless about physical activities. Ethan prefers the sandbox. He likes building and creating things. Like his mother." The unexpected compliment caught Olivia off guard. Before she could respond, Ethan noticed their visitor and pointed, his expression curious. "That's Mr. Rhodes," Olivia explained gently. "Remember? We met him at the party. He'd like to play with you for a little while." Ethan considered this information seriously before extending a plastic shovel in Maxwell's direction, a toddler's version of an olive branch. Maxwell's face transformed with a smile unlike any Olivia had seen before. Not his media smile or his boardroom smile, but something genuine and almost vulnerable. "Thank you, Ethan," he said, accepting the shovel with appropriate solemnity. "May I join you?" Ethan nodded, returning to his sand construction project. Maxwell glanced at Olivia, who gave a slight nod of encouragement, then lowered himself onto the edge of the sandbox. Designer jeans be damned. Olivia went to collect Emma from the swing, bringing her over to meet Maxwell properly. The little girl regarded him with her characteristic intensity, examining his features as though committing them to memory. "Hello, Emma," Maxwell said softly. She didn't respond verbally, but after a moment's consideration, she plopped down in the sandbox across from him and began filling a bucket with determined focus. For the next hour, Olivia watched as Maxwell Rhodes, billionaire CEO, corporate titan, the man who had once shattered her world, played in a public sandbox with toddlers. He helped Ethan build increasingly elaborate sand castles, responded seriously to Emma's babbled instructions, and seemed utterly content in this most mundane of activities. "They're incredible," he said during a quiet moment when the twins were investigating a nearby leaf pile under Olivia's watchful eye. "So smart, so distinct in their personalities already. They've been that way since birth. Different temperaments, different preferences, but completely in sync with each other. They're lucky to have you." Maxwell's gaze was direct, sincere. "You've done an amazing job with them, Olivia." "Thank you." She accepted the compliment with the grace it deserved. "They make it easy to be a good mother." "I'm sorry I missed it." The regret in his voice seemed genuine. Their birth, their first steps, their first words. "You didn't miss it by choice. You didn't know. Because you chose not to tell me. Because you chose to destroy my reputation rather than stand by me when I refused to falsify reports." Olivia kept her voice even, mindful of the children nearby. "We both made choices, Maxwell." He nodded slowly. "Fair enough." Emma toddled back to them, then, a bright red leaf clutched in her tiny hand. She presented it to Maxwell with solemn ceremony. "For me?" he asked, genuinely touched. She nodded, then climbed into Olivia's lap, suddenly shy again. Maxwell carefully tucked the leaf into his pocket. "I'll keep it safe," he promised. As the playdate drew to a close, Maxwell helped pack up the twins' toys and snacks. His efficiency with the task suggested he'd been paying attention to how Olivia managed the logistics of twin parenthood. "I'd like to do this again," he said as they walked toward their respective vehicles. "Perhaps twice a week, if that works for your schedule." "Twice. We could try once a week at first," Olivia countered, mindful of creating expectations the twins might not be ready for. "See how it goes." "See. Of course." Maxwell opened her car door as she settled Emma into her car seat. "Whatever you think is best for them. Now." As he helped secure Ethan in his seat, the little boy reached out unexpectedly, patting Maxwell's cheek with a sandy hand. "Bye-bye." And the simple gesture visibly affected Maxwell. He cleared his throat before responding. "Goodbye, Ethan. I'll see you again soon." When both children were secured, Maxwell stepped back, his expression thoughtful. "Olivia, have you considered my proposal? The legal framework?" "I've reviewed it with my attorney. We have some counterproposals." "I anticipated that." A hint of the businessman surfaced in his smile. "My legal team is prepared to negotiate." "This isn't a business deal, Maxwell." "No," he agreed, growing serious again. It's far more important than any deal I've ever made." As Olivia drove away, she watched Maxwell in her rearview mirror, standing alone in the parking lot, a crimson leaf still clutched carefully in his hand. What would you do if someone who once broke your heart suddenly wanted to be part of your children's lives? Would you trust their change of heart, or would you protect your family from potential disappointment? If this story resonates with you, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Over the next month, a cautious routine developed. Maxwell met with the twins once a week, gradually earning their trust through consistent attention and genuine interest in their world. Ethan warmed to him quickly, delighting in the elaborate block towers Maxwell helped him build. Emma remained more reserved, watching with serious eyes, but eventually began to seek Maxwell's approval for her artwork and climbing achievements. Legal negotiations progressed simultaneously, with Olivia's attorney and Maxwell's legal team hammering out the details of a co-parenting agreement. The DNA test confirmed what everyone already knew: Emma and Ethan were unquestionably Maxwell's biological children. With that official verification, Maxwell established trust funds and made provisions for the twins in his will, ensuring their financial security regardless of what happened between the adults in their lives. What didn't progress was any resolution with Charlotte. According to Maxwell, she had moved temporarily to her family's estate in Connecticut, refusing to discuss the situation beyond issuing ultimatums through her attorneys. The merger negotiations had been placed on temporary hold, while both families assessed the implications of Maxwell's newly discovered parenthood. "Her father is livid," Maxwell explained during one of their handoffs at the park. "Old money, old values. The idea of illegitimate children is anathema to him." "These aren't the 1800s, Olivia pointed out. "Plenty of successful people have children from previous relationships." "Devereaux shipping isn't plenty of successful people. It's 5 generations of carefully cultivated dynasty." Maxwell's expression was grim. "Charlotte's father is threatening to pull out of the merger entirely." Would that be so terrible? The question seemed to startle him. It would mean the loss of an $8 billion opportunity. But it would also mean freedom from a family that views your children as shameful secrets. Maxwell was quiet for a moment, watching Emma and Ethan play on the slide. "You're right," he said finally. "But it's not just about the money. There are thousands of jobs at stake, strategic advantages that would benefit everyone at Rhodes Industries." "Including Charlotte's position as your wife and the mother of your heir?" His eyes snapped back to her. "Charlotte knew who I was when she married me. A businessman who makes difficult decisions based on what's best for the company." "And who are you now, Maxwell?" Olivia asked quietly. "Still just the businessman? Or also the father who plays in sandboxes and keeps maple leaves in his pocket?" He didn't answer immediately, his gaze returning to the twins. "I'm still figuring that out." The conversation might have continued, but Ethan chose that moment to race over, proudly displaying a stick he'd found. "Look!" Sword. Maxwell crouched to admire the discovery, the corporate titan momentarily replaced by an indulgent father. "That's an excellent sword. Very fierce. Very fierce." Olivia watched the interaction with mixed emotions. Maxwell was trying. She had to give him credit for that. He never missed a scheduled visit, never seemed impatient with toddler antics, never treated time with the twins as an obligation rather than a privilege. But the question remained, how long would this last? How long before business priorities or Charlotte's demands pulled him away? As October gave way to November, the situation became more complicated. Charlotte returned from Connecticut and began accompanying Maxwell to public events again. Her pregnancy now advanced to 8 months. Financial news outlets reported that merger talks had resumed, with new terms being negotiated to account for recent developments in the Rhodes family structure. Then came the press release that changed everything. Olivia was in a client meeting when her phone began buzzing repeatedly, with text notifications. She ignored it until the meeting concluded, then checked her messages to find multiple alerts from friends in the financial sector, all containing links to the same announcement. Rhodes Industries confirmed CEO has twin children from previous relationship. The official statement was brief but clear. Rhodes Industries confirms that CEO Maxwell Rhodes recently learned he is the father of twins from a relationship that ended prior to his marriage to Charlotte Devereaux Rhodes. Mr. Rhodes is committed to being an active parent to all his children while maintaining his marriage and professional responsibilities. The Rhodes and Devereaux families request privacy as they navigate this expansion of their family. The previously announced merger between Rhodes Industries and Devereaux Shipping continues to progress toward finalization. Olivia's phone rang almost immediately. Maxwell's name flashed on the screen. "You could have warned me," she said by way of greeting. "I wanted to, but we had to move quickly. Charlotte's father was threatening to go public with his own version of events." Maxwell's voice was tight with tension. "This way, we controlled the narrative." "And what exactly is the narrative? That the twins are an inconvenient footnote to your perfect life with Charlotte? That's not fair. The statement acknowledges them as my children and my commitment to being their father. It also makes it clear that your marriage and merger are the priorities." "Olivia," Maxwell sighed heavily. "This was the compromise. Charlotte agreed to the public acknowledgement in exchange for explicit language about our marriage remaining intact." "So Charlotte is on board now?" "Not enthusiastically, but pragmatically. Her father has agreed to proceed with the merger as long as there's no public scandal." Olivia closed her eyes, trying to process the implications. "What does this mean for the twins practically? Are you still planning to visit regularly?" "Of course. Nothing has changed about my commitment to them." He paused. "But there may be some media attention now. Reporters might try to approach you. Photographers might show up at the park during our visits. I don't want the twins exposed to that. I've already increased security. My team can provide protection for your home and office as well." The offer was logical, but it represented a fundamental shift in their carefully constructed arrangement. Until now, Maxwell's relationship with the twins had been private, personal. With the public announcement, it would become part of the Rhodes corporate narrative. "I need to think about this," Olivia said finally, "about what it means for Emma and Ethan's daily lives." "I understand. But please, in the meantime, don't speak to any reporters without consulting my PR team." The businessman again, trying to control the situation. "I'm not interested in media attention, Maxwell. All I care about is protecting my children." "Our children," he corrected gently. "And protection is exactly what I'm offering." After they hung up, Olivia sat at her desk, staring at the press release on her computer screen. It was happening, the public acknowledgement she had believed was important for the twins. So why did she feel so uneasy? Perhaps because the announcement had been made without her input. Perhaps because it positioned the twins as an addendum to Maxwell's real family with Charlotte. Or perhaps because deep down, she still didn't fully trust that Maxwell would choose the twins over his business interests when truly tested. Her intercom buzzed. "Miss Barrett? There's a reporter from the Financial Times on line 1, asking for comment about the Rhodes announcement." It had begun. The public scrutiny Charlotte had warned about, the disruption to their carefully constructed life. "Tell them I have no comment," Olivia replied, reaching for her phone to text Renee. By the time she arrived home that evening, 3 news vans were parked on her quiet street, and a photographer called her name as she hurried the twins from the car to the front door. Renee was waiting inside, having picked up the children from daycare to avoid exactly this scenario. "It's a circus out there," she reported grimly. "I had to show ID to get past your neighbor's security guard." "Maxwell sent them," Olivia explained, helping the twins with their coats. "Part of his protection." "Well, at least he's trying to keep the vultures away." Renee peered through the curtains at the gathering media. "How long do you think this will last?" "Until something more interesting happens, I suppose." Olivia sighed, watching Emma and Ethan toddle toward their toys, blissfully unaware of the commotion their existence had created. "I just don't want them affected by it." "They won't be, as long as you maintain your routine and keep them away from the cameras." Renee squeezed her friend's shoulder supportively. "This will blow over, Liv. Rich guys having secret kids isn't exactly unprecedented." "I know. I just wish." Olivia trailed off, not sure how to articulate the complicated emotions swirling within her. "Wish what? That Maxwell had consulted you before the announcement? Or that none of this had happened in the first place?" "Neither. Both." Olivia shook her head. "I want the twins to know their father. I want them to have that relationship. I just didn't expect it to come with all this." She gestured toward the window and the reporters beyond. "Fame and fortune, baby. The Rhodes package deal." Renee's expression softened. "But hey, if anyone can navigate this with grace, it's you." The media frenzy intensified over the next week as financial analysts speculated about the impact of Maxwell's secret family on the Devereaux merger. Tabloids published grainy photos of Olivia with the twins, digging into her past for any hint of scandal. Old colleagues from Rhodes Industries gave anonymous interviews describing the intense chemistry between Olivia and Maxwell during her employment. Through it all, Olivia maintained radio silence with the press, focusing instead on keeping the twins' routine as normal as possible. Maxwell sent daily security updates and adjusted their meeting location from the public park to a private indoor playground owned by a friend of his, a change that disappointed the twins but protected them from prying cameras. "I'm sorry about all this," he said during their next visit, watching Emma methodically arrange colored blocks while Ethan climbed on a padded play structure. "The media attention will die down eventually." "It's all right." Olivia surprised herself with the response. "The twins are resilient, and honestly, I've been through worse." Maxwell winced at the reference to their past. "Yes, you have. Because of me." The simple acknowledgement of responsibility was something the old Maxwell would never have offered. Olivia studied him, noting the fatigue around his eyes, the slight dishevelment of his usually impeccable appearance. "How are things with Charlotte?" she asked, surprising herself again with the question. Maxwell ran a hand through his hair. "Tense. The media attention has been difficult for her, especially in her condition. Her doctor is concerned about her blood pressure." Concern flashed through Olivia despite herself. Pregnancy complications were no small matter, and regardless of her feelings about Charlotte, she wouldn't wish medical distress on anyone. "Is she getting proper care?" "The best available. But she's refusing to follow the doctor's orders to rest. Insists on maintaining her social schedule, proving to the world that our marriage is solid." He sighed heavily. "She's always been stubborn, but this is different. It's like she's trying to prove something, even at the risk of her health and the babies." 1. The conversation was interrupted by Ethan racing over, demanding Maxwell's participation in some game involving stuffed animals and a slide. As Maxwell allowed himself to be led away, Olivia found herself contemplating Charlotte's situation with unexpected empathy. Despite their differences, they shared something significant. Both were mothers fighting to protect their children's futures in the high-stakes world Maxwell inhabited. Charlotte's methods might be calculating, even cold, but her maternal instinct to secure her child's position was something Olivia understood all too well. 2 days later, Olivia received an urgent call from Maxwell's assistant. "Miss Barrett, Mr. Rhodes asked me to inform you that Charlotte has been hospitalized with severe preeclampsia. The baby may need to be delivered immediately, despite being 4 weeks premature." Olivia's medical knowledge was limited, but she knew preeclampsia was serious, potentially life-threatening for both mother and child. "Is there anything I can do?" she asked automatically. "Actually, yes." The assistant sounded relieved. "Mr. Rhodes mentioned that you might have a contact at Georgetown Medical Center, the neonatal specialist who treated the twins." Olivia was momentarily taken aback that Maxwell remembered this detail from one of their conversations. "Yes, Dr. Patel. She's one of the best neonatologists in the country. Mr. Rhodes would be extremely grateful if you could reach out to her. Charlotte's condition is deteriorating rapidly, and the specialists at Sibley Memorial are concerned about the baby's lung development." Without hesitation, Olivia promised to make the call immediately. Dr. Patel had been instrumental in helping the twins through their early weeks, born 6 weeks premature themselves. If Charlotte's baby faced similar challenges, having the best possible care could make all the difference. Within hours, Dr. Patel had been consulted and was en route to Sibley Memorial with her specialized team. Olivia received a brief text from Maxwell. "Thank you. We'll update when I can." For the next 24 hours, Olivia found herself in the strange position of worrying about Charlotte Rhodes, the woman who had tried to buy her silence, who had called her children an inconvenience, who had married the man who once broke her heart. But in this moment, none of that mattered. What mattered was a mother fighting for her life and her baby's future. The update came late the following evening. Another text from Maxwell. "Baby girl delivered safely. 4 pounds 6 ounces. Charlotte stable but critical. Dr. Patel has been extraordinary. I don't know how to thank you." Olivia sat on her couch, twins sleeping peacefully down the hall, and felt an unexpected wave of relief. Whatever complications lay ahead in their unusual family dynamic, at least Charlotte and her daughter had survived this first critical hurdle. She texted back a simple response, "No thanks needed," wishing them both strength and healing. 3 days later, a massive arrangement of white orchids arrived at Olivia's office with a card that read simply, "With deepest gratitude, Charlotte." The gesture was unexpected and oddly touching. Perhaps there was more to Charlotte Devereux's than calculating ambition after all. The media storm surrounding Maxwell's secret family was eclipsed by news of baby Sophia's premature birth and Charlotte's health crisis. Public sympathy shifted decidedly in the Rhodes family's favor, with financial publications praising Maxwell's commitment to all his children during this challenging time. Maxwell rescheduled his next visit with the twins, explaining that he needed to remain at the hospital while Charlotte and Sophia stabilized. Olivia understood completely, assuring him that the twins were too young to register the missed appointment. What she didn't expect was his next request. "Olivia," he said when he finally called with an update, "I need to ask you something unusual." "All right." She braced herself, unsure what could be coming. "Charlotte would like to meet you. Properly, not as adversaries. She's still in the hospital, but the doctors say her condition is improving. She's asked specifically to speak with you." Olivia was momentarily speechless. "Why?" "She says she wants to thank you personally for connecting us with Dr. Patel. But I think there's more to it." Maxwell's voice was thoughtful. "This experience has changed her. Nearly losing Sophia, facing her own mortality, it shifted her perspective on what matters." "And you think she wants to make peace?" "I think she wants to understand the woman who raised my children with such grace despite everything I put you through." The honesty in his voice was disarming. "Will you consider it? For the sake of all our children?" All our children. The phrase hung in the air, a recognition that their lives were now inextricably linked through three innocent beings who deserved adults capable of civil coexistence, if not friendship. "All right," Olivia agreed finally. "When?" The private room in Sibley Memorial's maternity ward was hushed and dimly lit when Olivia arrived the following afternoon. Charlotte reclined against pillows, looking far more vulnerable than Olivia had ever seen her, pale, without makeup. Her usually perfect hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. An IV line snaked from her arm, and monitors beeped softly beside the bed. "Thank you for coming," Charlotte said, her voice stronger than her appearance suggested. "Please, sit." Olivia took the chair beside the bed, unsure what to expect from this meeting. "How are you feeling?" "Like I've been hit by a truck," Charlotte admitted with surprising candor. "The doctors say I'm lucky to be alive." "And Sophia?" A genuine smile transformed Charlotte's face at the mention of her daughter. "She's fighting. Dr. Patel says her lungs are underdeveloped, but she's responding well to treatment." The smile faded, replaced by something more serious. "I understand your twins were premature as well." 6 weeks early, Olivia confirmed. "They spent their first month in the NICU. It was terrifying, but they pulled through." "How did you manage it? Alone? With 2 of them?" The question seemed genuinely curious rather than judgmental. Olivia considered her answer carefully, one day at a time, with help from friends, from medical staff who became like family. There were moments of pure fear, but also incredible joy when they reached each milestone. Charlotte nodded slowly. "I've never thanked anyone for saving my life before. It's a strange position to be in, being indebted to someone you've treated poorly." "You don't owe me anything, Charlotte. I would have called Dr. Patel for any mother in your situation. That's precisely why I wanted to see you." Charlotte shifted slightly, wincing with the movement. To understand the kind of woman who would help someone who tried to pay her to disappear. Olivia didn't have a ready answer for that. She'd acted on instinct, on fundamental human decency, not on any calculated plan to win Charlotte's favor. "Nearly dying changes your perspective," Charlotte continued when Olivia remained silent. "Suddenly, corporate mergers and family dynasties seem less important than simply being alive to watch your child grow. That's a feeling I understand completely. I think perhaps we understand each other better than either of us realized." Charlotte reached for a glass of water, her movements careful and measured. "I won't pretend I'm happy about the situation with the twins, but I'm beginning to accept that they're part of Sophia's life too, half-siblings she'll want to know someday." "They would never threaten her position," Olivia said quietly. "I have no interest in Rhodes Industries or the Devereux fortune." "I believe you now." Charlotte set down her glass, her expression thoughtful. "Maxwell talks about them constantly, you know, the twins. Their latest accomplishments, their personalities, the games they play together. I've never seen him like this. So engaged, so present." There was something almost wistful in Charlotte's tone. Olivia wondered suddenly if the polished corporate marriage she'd envied from afar was perhaps not as fulfilling as it appeared. "He's trying to be a good father to them," Olivia acknowledged. "It means a lot that he's making the effort. He's a changed man since they came into his life." Charlotte's gaze was direct now. Since you came back into his life. Sen. The implication hung between them, unspoken but clear. Olivia shifted uncomfortably. Charlotte, I'm not interested in disrupting your marriage. My only concern is the twins' relationship with their father. I know. Charlotte sighed softly. That's what makes this so complicated. You're not the vindictive ex seeking revenge. You're just a mother, protecting her children, same as me. She paused. I think perhaps I've been fighting the wrong battle. Before Olivia could respond, the door opened and a nurse entered, pushing a clear bassinet. Mrs. Rhodes, it's time for Sophia's feeding. The conversation paused as the nurse carefully transferred the tiny infant to Charlotte's arms. Sophia was impossibly small, with delicate features and a dusting of dark hair. Despite her premature state, Olivia could see Maxwell in the shape of her nose and chin. Would you like to hold her? Charlotte offered unexpectedly. She should meet her half-sibling's mother. The gesture was so surprising, so laden with potential meaning, that Olivia found herself momentarily speechless. Are you sure? Charlotte nodded, and the nurse helped transfer the fragile newborn to Olivia's experienced arms. Sophia weighed almost nothing, reminding Olivia vividly of the twins in their earliest days. She's beautiful, Olivia said softly, cradling the infant with practiced ease. Perfect. She is, isn't she? Pride colored Charlotte's voice. Dr. Patel says she's showing remarkable resilience for her gestational age. As Olivia gazed down at the tiny face, she felt an unexpected wave of emotion. This wasn't just Maxwell's daughter with another woman. This was Emma and Ethan's half-sister, a connection that would exist regardless of what happened between the adults in their lives. The twins would love her, Olivia said without thinking. Emma has a doll she carries everywhere. Ethan would probably try to show Sophia all his favorite trucks. Something shifted in Charlotte's expression, a softening, a moment of genuine vulnerability. Perhaps, when she's stronger and home from the hospital, perhaps they could meet her. The offer hung in the air between them, not friendship exactly, but a tentative bridge across the chasm that had separated them. A recognition that their children's futures were intertwined, whether they liked it or not. I think they would like that, Olivia said carefully. When you're both ready. The remainder of the visit passed in surprisingly comfortable conversation about the practical challenges of infant care, the peculiarities of the NICU experience, and the emotional roller coaster of early parenthood. For this brief moment, they were simply two mothers sharing experiences rather than rivals in a complex family drama. As Olivia prepared to leave, Charlotte caught her hand in an unexpected gesture. Thank you, she said simply, not just for Dr. Patel, but for coming today, for being better than I would have been in your position. For San. We're both just trying to do what's best for our children, Olivia replied, gently extracting her hand. The rest is details. Maxwell was waiting in the hospital corridor, having given the women privacy for their conversation. His expression was a mixture of hope and wariness. As Olivia approached, "How did it go?" he asked, falling into step beside her. "Better than expected," Olivia admitted. "Charlotte seems changed." "She is." Maxwell guided her toward the elevator. "This experience has shifted something fundamental in her. In both of us, really. Parenthood has a way of doing that." "Yes." He pressed the elevator button, his expression thoughtful. "I've been thinking a lot about the choices I've made, the priorities I've set. And I'm realizing that success measured in dollar signs and market share means nothing if you've failed at the human connections that matter." The elevator arrived, and they stepped inside together. "I failed you, Olivia, catastrophically, and I nearly missed knowing two of the most extraordinary children ever born because of it." The raw honesty in his voice caught her off guard. This wasn't the calculated charm of the businessman, but something more genuine, a man truly reckoning with his mistakes. "What are you saying, Maxwell?" "I'm saying that I want to be worthy of being their father, of being someone they can respect someday, even if they learn about how terribly I treated their mother." His eyes met hers directly. "And I'm saying that I'd like a chance to earn your forgiveness, not just your cooperation." The elevator reached the ground floor, doors sliding open to reveal the hospital lobby. Olivia stepped out, needing a moment to process his words. "I don't know if forgiveness is possible," she said finally, "but I do know that you're making an effort with the twins, and that matters to me." "It's a start, then?" "It's a start." As Olivia drove home, she reflected on the strange turn her life had taken. 4 weeks ago, She had arrived at Maxwell's estate intending to show him exactly what he had thrown away. Now, she found herself cautiously optimistic about building a functional co-parenting relationship with the man who had once broken her heart. The road ahead wouldn't be simple. There would be legal complexities, logistical challenges, the inevitable complications of blending families with very different backgrounds. But watching Maxwell with the twins, seeing his genuine effort to connect with them, had planted a seed of hope that perhaps this unlikely situation might ultimately benefit everyone involved, especially the three innocent children at the center of it all. If you're finding this story of unexpected forgiveness and family healing touching your heart, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Lux Love Chronicles with Mr. Wentworth. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that sometimes, life's greatest blessings arrive in the most unexpected packages. 6 months later, Olivia stood in her backyard, watching as Maxwell helped Ethan climb the new swing set he'd installed as a birthday gift for the twins. Emma had abandoned the swings in favor of the art table, set up on the patio, where Renee was helping her create colorful handprints on construction paper. "Higher, Daddy," Ethan called, his vocabulary expanding daily along with his confidence. The word still sent a jolt through Olivia every time she heard it. Daddy, a title Maxwell had earned over months of consistent presence, unwavering attention, and genuine affection. The twins had begun using it spontaneously about 8 weeks ago, and the look of stunned joy on Maxwell's face had been something Olivia would never forget. "Not too high, buddy," Maxwell cautioned, giving another careful push. "Remember what Mommy said about being careful." Olivia smiled despite herself. Maxwell Rhodes, corporate titan and risk-taker extraordinaire, had become surprisingly cautious when it came to the twins' physical safety. He researched car seats like he was preparing for a billion-dollar acquisition, installed childproofing throughout his home with meticulous attention to detail, and followed Olivia's parenting guidelines with religious devotion. The backyard gate opened, and Charlotte appeared, pushing a stroller containing 6-month-old Sophia. The baby had thrived after her rough start, growing into a cheerful, healthy infant with Maxwell's dark hair and Charlotte's delicate features. "Sorry we're late," Charlotte called, navigating the stroller across the lawn. "Someone decided her morning nap was optional today. Thanks for watching." "No worries," Olivia replied, moving to help with the diaper bag slung over Charlotte's shoulder. "The party doesn't officially start for another half hour anyway." The scene would have been unimaginable 6 months ago. Charlotte Rhodes bringing her daughter to the twins' second birthday celebration, entering Olivia's home not as an adversary but as part of an unconventional extended family. Yet, here they were, cautiously forging a new kind of relationship for the sake of 3 children who shared a father. "Emma, Ethan, look who's here," Olivia called. The twins raced over, their excitement at seeing their baby sister evident in their beaming faces. In the months since Sophia's birth, they had developed a fierce protective instinct toward her, proudly declaring to anyone who would listen that she was our baby. "Thanks, Sophie," Emma exclaimed, peering into the stroller. "Hi, baby." Gentle touches, Olivia reminded as Ethan moved to pat the infant's head with typical toddler enthusiasm. "They're getting so good with her," Charlotte observed, a genuine smile softening her usually composed features. "She lights up whenever they're around." The feeling is mutual. They've been talking about showing her their birthday cake all morning. The mention of cake reminded Olivia of her hosting duties. "Can I get you something to drink? The other guests should be arriving soon." "Just water, thanks." Charlotte carefully lifted Sophia from the stroller. "Do you need help with anything?" "Everything's under control, but thanks for offering." As Olivia moved toward the house, she caught Maxwell's eye across the yard. He gave her a small smile, a private acknowledgement of how far they'd all come since that confrontation at the baby shower. The past 6 months hadn't been without challenges. The initial media frenzy had eventually died down, but not before testing everyone's patience and resilience. The legal arrangements had been complex, requiring multiple revisions as their unusual family dynamic evolved. The Devereaux-Rhodes merger had proceeded, but with modified terms that acknowledged Maxwell's commitment to all 3 of his children. Most challenging of all had been the emotional terrain, navigating co-parenting with a man who had once broken her heart, finding a workable relationship with Charlotte that prioritized the children's well-being, and managing her own complicated feelings as Maxwell became an increasingly significant presence in her daily life. Yet somehow, they had found a way forward. Not the conventional family Olivia had once dreamed of, Not the dynasty Charlotte had planned, but something unique and surprisingly functional. As the birthday party progressed, Olivia watched the twins blow out their candles with Maxwell's help, Charlotte capturing the moment on her phone while Sophia babbled happily from Renee's lap. The scene was chaotic, joyful, and utterly unlike anything Olivia could have imagined when she'd received that gold-embossed invitation 6 months ago. "Penny for your thoughts," Maxwell said quietly, joining her at the edge of the patio while the twins enthusiastically devoured their cake under Renee's supervision. "Just marveling at how much can change in half a year," Olivia replied honestly. "If someone had told me then that we'd be here now, celebrating together like this, you'd have thought they were delusional?" "Something like that." Maxwell's expression grew serious. "I'm grateful every day that you had the courage to come to that baby shower, that you gave me the chance to know Emma and Ethan, despite every reason not to. They deserved to know their father. And I didn't deserve to know them, not after what I did to you." His voice was low, sincere. "But you gave me that gift anyway. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of it." The intensity in his eyes made Olivia look away, uncomfortable with the emotions his gratitude stirred in her. "You're a good father to them, Maxwell. That's what matters now. And to Sophia," he added, "though I would never have managed that without your example." Before Olivia could respond, Emma toddled over, her face smeared with frosting. "Mommy, Daddy, cake good." "I can see that," Olivia laughed, reaching for a napkin to clean her daughter's sticky cheeks. "Did you save any for the rest of us?" "Yes." Emma nodded vigorously, then held up her frosting-covered hands. "Need wash?" "I'll take her," Maxwell offered, scooping up the messy toddler. "Come on, birthday girl. Let's get you cleaned up." As they headed inside, Charlotte approached with Sophia cradled against her shoulder. "He's different with them," she observed, watching Maxwell's retreating form. "More present, more himself." "I've noticed that too," Olivia admitted. "He was never that way with me, even before Sophia." Charlotte's tone was matter-of-fact rather than bitter. "Our marriage was always more of a partnership than a love match. Mutually beneficial, strategically sound." "Charlotte, you don't have to." "It's all right." She adjusted Sophia's position with practiced ease. "I've made my peace with it. The merger is complete. Sophia's future is secure, and Maxwell is a devoted father to all his children. By most measures, I've achieved what I set out to do." There was something in her voice, not quite regret, but perhaps a recognition of the emotional trade-offs her choices had required. "And you?" Charlotte asked unexpectedly. "Are you happy with how things have turned out?" The question caught Olivia off guard. Was she happy? The situation was far from what she'd envisioned for her life. But seeing the twins flourish with Maxwell in their lives, watching them form bonds with their half-sister, building a co-parenting relationship based on mutual respect, there was certainly satisfaction in that. "I'm content," she said finally. "The twins are happy, healthy, and loved by both their parents. That's more than I dared hope for 6 months ago. And—" Charlotte studied her with surprising insight. "But not everything you wanted." Before Olivia could formulate a response, Ethan crashed into her legs, demanding her attention for some new discovery in the yard. The moment passed, but Charlotte's question lingered in her mind throughout the remainder of the party. Later that evening, after the guests had departed and the twins were tucked into bed, Olivia found herself sitting on the back porch with Maxwell. Charlotte had left earlier, with a sleeping Sophia, citing the baby's bedtime routine, but Maxwell had stayed to help with cleanup and bedtime stories. "Thank you for today," he said, settling into the chair beside her. It was a perfect celebration for them. They had a wonderful time. Olivia smiled, remembering the twins' joy as they'd opened presents and played with friends. "They'll sleep well tonight. Until 5 a.m., when they remember there are still unopened toys," Maxwell predicted with the insight of a father who had learned his children's patterns. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the spring evening wrapping around them with gentle warmth. In the distance, the lights of the city twinkled against the darkening sky. "Olivia," Maxwell began, his tone shifting to something more serious. "There's something I've been wanting to discuss with you." "Maxwell." "What is it?" "Charlotte and I are separating." The statement hung in the air between them, unexpected and momentous. "Since when?" Olivia asked carefully. "We made the decision last month. We'll announce it publicly once the details are finalized." Maxwell's voice was calm, matter of fact. "It's amicable." We both recognize that while we've built a successful partnership, it's not a fulfilling marriage for either of us. What about Sophia? We'll co-parent, much as you and I do with the twins. Charlotte will maintain her position on the Rhodes Industries board, and I'll continue working closely with Devereaux Shipping. The business arrangements remain intact, only the personal ones are changing. Olivia absorbed this information slowly, uncertain how to respond. I'm sorry, she offered finally. For both of you. 1. Don't be. Maxwell turned to face her directly. The truth is, I've been living with the consequences of choosing corporate advantage over genuine connection for years now. Seeing you with the twins, watching how you've built your life around authentic relationships and principles, it's made me reevaluate everything. Maxwell. Please, let me finish. He leaned forward, his expression earnest in the dim porch light. I'm not telling you this to complicate our co-parenting arrangement or to pressure you in any way. I simply want you to know that I've learned from my mistakes. That I understand now what I threw away 4 years ago, and that I regret it every day. Olivia felt her heartbeat quicken, unsure where this conversation was leading. The past is past, she said carefully. We've both moved forward. Yes, we have. But sometimes moving forward means circling back to fix what was broken. Maxwell's gaze held her steadily. I'm not asking for anything right now. I know I have years of proving myself ahead of me. As a father, as a person of integrity, as someone worthy of your trust. I just want you to know that when and if you're ever ready to consider letting me earn back more than your cooperation, I'll be here. The implications of his words settled around them in the quiet evening air. Not a declaration exactly, not a request, but an opening, a door left ajar for possibilities neither of them was ready to name. I don't know what to say, Olivia admitted. You don't need to say anything, just know that while I'm committed to being the best father possible to all 3 of my children, I haven't forgotten that there was once something remarkable between us. Something real, before I destroyed it. He stood then, gathering his jacket from the back of the chair. I should go. The twins will be up early, and you need your rest. Olivia walked him to the front door, her mind swirling with unspoken questions and half-formed thoughts. At the threshold, Maxwell turned to her one last time. Thank you again for today, for everything you do for Emma and Ethan, and for allowing me to be part of their lives despite every reason not to trust me. They love you, Olivia said simply. That's what matters now. And you, Olivia? What matters to you? The question hung between them, loaded with possibility. Olivia thought of the past 6 months, the careful rebuilding of trust, the gradual shift from antagonism to respect, the moments when she'd glimpsed the man she'd once loved beneath the corporate exterior. Time, she said finally. We all need time. Maxwell nodded, accepting her answer with grace. Then time is what we'll take. Good night, Olivia. As she watched him walk to his car, Olivia felt something shift within her. Not forgiveness exactly, not yet, but perhaps the beginning of possibility. The wound he'd inflicted 4 years ago had scarred over, healed by time and by the joy of raising Emma and Ethan. What might grow in its place remained to be seen. One thing was certain, the invitation that had arrived 6 months ago with such cruel intent had set in motion events none of them could have predicted. Charlotte had found maternal purpose beyond social status. Maxwell had discovered what truly mattered beyond corporate success. And Olivia had found the strength to offer truth instead of hiding it, creating opportunities for healing rather than perpetuating pain. The twins would grow up knowing their father, knowing their half-sister, understanding that family could take unexpected forms while still providing love and security. Whatever happened between the adults in their lives, that knowledge was a gift Olivia would never regret giving them. As she closed the door and moved through her quiet home, checking on the sleeping twins one last time before retiring, Olivia felt a sense of peace settle over her. The future remained unwritten, full of possibilities both challenging and hopeful. But tonight, in this moment, she was exactly where she needed to be, surrounded by love she had built, strengthened by challenges she had overcome, open to whatever tomorrow might bring. Sometimes, life's greatest blessings arrive in unexpected packages. Sometimes, the invitation you almost declined leads to the journey you were meant to take all along. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Lux Love Chronicles with Mr. Wentworth for more powerful stories of love, redemption, and second chances. Share this with someone who needs to hear that people can change, and that sometimes, life's greatest blessings come after our greatest pain. Remember, sometimes the most powerful act isn't clinging to anger, but having the courage to allow healing, not just for yourself, but for everyone whose life touches yours.